नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जायमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामीनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. Reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. We are reading from Canto 4, Chapter 9, Dhruva Mahārāja returns home. We are in the section where now the Supreme Lord is bestowing his benedictions on Dhruva Mahārāja. So we are in section 18 to 26. We are at text 20. Nanairadishtitam bhadra yadbhrajishnu dhruvakshiti yatra graha kshatartaranam ज्योतिषां चक्रमाहितम् मेढ्यां गोचक्रवस्तास्नोर् परस्तात् कल्पवासिनां धर्मोऽग्नि कश्यपः शुक्रो मुनयो ये वनौकसः चरन्ति दक्षिणीकृत्य भ्रमन्तो यत्सतारका. Translation.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead continued, "My dear Dhruva, I shall award you the glowing planet known as the pole star, which will continue to exist even after the dissolution at the end of the millennium. No one has ever ruled this planet, which is surrounded by all the solar systems, planets, and stars. All the luminaries in the sky circumambulate this planet, just as bulls tread around a central pole for the purpose of crushing grains. Keeping the pole star to their right, all the stars inhabited by the great sages like Dharma, Agni, Kashyapa, and Shukra circumambulate this planet, which continues to exist even after the dissolution of all others." Purport: Although the pole star existed before its occupation by Dhruva Maharaj, it had no predominating deity. Dhruvaloka, our pole star, is the center for all other stars and solar systems. For all of them circle around Dhruvaloka just as a bull crushes grains by walking around and around a central pole. Dhruva wanted the best of all planets, and although it was a childish prayer, the Lord satisfied his demand. A small child may demand something from his father, which his father has never given to anyone else. Yet, out of affection, the father offers it to the child. Similarly, this unique planet, Dhruvaloka, was offered to Maharaj Dhruva. The specific significance of this planet is that until the entire universe is annihilated, this planet will remain. Even during the devastation which takes place during the night of Lord Brahma, there are two kinds of dissolutions, one during the night of Lord Brahma and one at the end of Lord Brahma's life. At the end of Lord Brahma's life, selected personalities go back home, back to Godhead. Dhruva Maharaj is one of them. The Lord assured Dhruva that he would exist beyond the partial dissolution of this universe. Thus, at the end of the complete dissolution, Dhruva Maharaj would go directly to Vaikuṇṭha Loka, to a spiritual planet in the spiritual sky. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments in this connection that Dhruvaloka is one of the lokas like Shwetadeepa, Mathura, and Dwaraka. They are all eternal places in the kingdom of Godhead, which is described in the Bhagavad Gita, Tad Dhama Paramam, and in the Vedas, Om Tad Vishnuha Paramam Padam Sada Pashyanti Suryaha. The words Parashtat Kalpa Vashinam, transcendental to the planets inhabited after the dissolution, refer to the Vaikuṇṭha planets. In other words, Dhruva Mahārāja's promotion to the Vaikuṇṭha Lokas was guaranteed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So here, the Lord, Supreme Lord, is explaining that he's awarding this. I shall award you the glowing planet known as pole star. Now, what is the greatness of this pole star? This will continue to exist even after the dissolution at the end of the millennium. No one has ever ruled this. It is not that somebody is, it is not something like somebody has already ruled. No, Dhruva was a child. He wanted fresh, brand new toy to play. So like that. So this is, no one ever ruled this planet. And this planet is surrounded by all the solar systems. Okay, look at the plural there. All the solar systems, planets and stars. Right. All the luminaries in the sky circumambulate this planet, just like the bull go around the pole. For the bull, by keeping the pole star to their right, all the stars inhabited by the great sages like Dharma, Agni, Kashyapa, and Shukra circumambulate this planet. Right. So this is the direction is also being mentioned. By keeping this to the right, all the planets circumambulate. And this continues to exist even after dissolution of all other planets after Pralaya. So much of a, otherwise also information in this one shloka. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains, although the pole star existed before, there was no predominating deity. So thus the pole star around which why the pole star appears to be, fixed. Dhruva it is. Dhruva means fixed, achala. In the all other stars we will say, rotating. You will say moon somewhere in the morning, somewhere else in the evening. Sun you will see somewhere else in the morning, somewhere else in the evening, different directions. Earth is also rotating. But Dhruva, the pole star will always be at the north because everybody is circumambulating the pole star. So this is very important. Now Dhruva, he had wanted best of the planet, and Lord also satisfied his demand beyond the expectation of Dhruva. So Dhruva Loka was offered to Dhruva Mahārāja, and this continues to exist even after the partial pralaya and the total pralaya. Srila Prabhupada explains there are two types of pralaya which take place, predominant. One pralaya is at the end of Brahma's day, and when Lord Brahmaji goes to sleep, that time there is a partial pralaya. Only the top three planetary systems will remain, and Dhruva Loka always remains. And then at the end of Brahma's life, there is a total pralaya where there is a complete dissolution. Yasyaika nishvasita kalam athavalambya jivanti loma vilaja jagadandanatha. The Jagadandanatha here is Brahma. So Brahmaji is born, he rules, and he is Vilaya, the death of Brahma. And then that is the time when Mahavishnu inhales. Everything is sucked within the body of Mahavishnu, and still the pole star remains. And then the great personalities along with Lord Brahma, they go back to the planet, they go back to Vaikuṇṭha, and along with them, Dhruva Mahārāja also goes back to Vaikuṇṭha. Srila Prabhupada quotes Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary here that Dhruva Loka is one of the celebrated loka like Shwetadvip, Mathura or Dwaraka, right? Pandharpur, right? These are the places which are beyond the dissolution of the material world. They appear to be in the material world, but they are the spiritual places residing in the material world, right? Just like the embassies, they appear to be in India, but actually all the rules within the embassy, they will be, that country's rules. That's why many times you will see that the spy people, Pakistani spy, he will do some mischief and immediately run to Pakistani embassy. Because within the Pakistani embassy, although it is situated in New Delhi, rules of Delhi government of India will not apply. The rules of Pakistan only will apply there. So, and Prabhupada therefore used to call, ISKCON temples as the spiritual embassies within the material world. So, even after the total dissolution, what happens is these places remain and they just reveal their Vaikuṇṭha nature. In other words, Prabhupada says that Dhruva Mahārāja is promised by the Supreme Lord that his destination, his elevation to Vaikuṇṭha is guaranteed at the end of this life. Text 22. Prasthite tu vanam pitra dattva tvam dharma samshrayah Kshatrisatam varsham sahastram rakshitabhyatendrayah. Translation.
Translation: After your father goes to the forest and awards you the rule of his kingdom, you will rule continuously the entire world for 36,000 years, and all your senses will continue to be as strong as they are now. You will never become old. Purport: In the Satya Yuga, people generally lived for 100,000 years. Dhruva Mahārāja ruling the world for 36,000 years was quite possible in those days. Hare Krishna.
Now the Supreme Lord is describing, now prasthite tu vanam pitva, that your father will go to Vana because he will accept Vanaprasthashram, and then you will become the king. You will rule this world, not Dhruva planet, this world for 36,000 years. Somebody may say, I may become old. No. And all your senses will be enlivened and as strong as they are now. You will never become old. Right? This is one of the benedictions that a devotee receives. You must have seen devotees that, more they practice, they appear more fresh and younger. Right? This is because the potency of devotional service. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains, somebody may doubt 36,000 years. Please don't doubt, because parameters were different in different ages. In Satya Yuga, people used to live for 1 lakh years. And that's why we see Vishwamitra Muni doing tapasya for 60,000 years, Sobhari doing tapasya for 10,000 years, and here Dhruva Mahārāja is going to rule for 36,000 years. Right? So this was quite possible in those days where things were completely different. And this is therefore, it is very important. Sometimes people doubt, Prabhuji, how this is possible in Krishna Lila. Krishna Lila, it is possible because it was in another yuga. Apart from, the Lord appearing along with his own dham, yuga is also changed, right? And because the yuga is changed, it is very difficult to understand what happens in the previous yuga and this yuga. Very simple example is just like 400 years ago, can anybody imagine that, there will be something called as, forget 400, 20 years ago, did anybody imagine that there is something called as AI? We will be writing our programs, based on AI. The person who doesn't know even C of coding is creating elaborate, the softwares and applications simply by using the free AI tools. Can we imagine in our own life, 10 years, forget 5 years back, did we imagine this? No, we did not. 400 years ago, did we imagine aeroplane? So similarly, thousands of years before, and all this is advancement in Kali Yuga only. Still the age is Kali only, right? Degradation continues to happen. So Prabhupada says here that this was very much possible in those days. Text 23. Tvadbhratai uttame nashte mrugayayam tu tanmana Anveshantim vanam mata davagnim sa pravekshati. Translation.
The Lord continued, sometime in the future, your brother Uttama will go hunting in the forest. While absorbed in hunting, he will be killed. Your stepmother Suruchi, being maddened upon the death of her son, will go to search him out in the forest, but she will be devoured by a forest fire. Purport: Dhruva Mahārāja came to the forest to search out the Supreme Personality of Godhead with a revenging spirit against his stepmother. His stepmother had insulted Dhruva, who was not an ordinary person but a great Vaishnava. An offense at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava is the greatest offense in this world, because having insulted Dhruva Mahārāja, Suruchi would become mad upon the death of her son and would enter a forest fire. And thus her life would be ended. This was specifically mentioned by the Lord to Dhruva because he was determined for revenge against her. From this, we should take a lesson that we should never try to insult a Vaishnava. Not only should we not insult a Vaishnava, but we should not insult anyone unnecessarily. When Suruchi insulted Dhruva Mahārāja, he was just a child. She, of course, did not know that Dhruva was a great recognized Vaishnava, and so her offense was committed unknowingly. When one serves a Vaishnava unknowingly, one still gets the good result, and if one unknowingly insults a Vaishnava, one suffers the bad result. A Vaishnava is specially favored by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Pleasing him or displeasing him directly affects the pleasure and displeasure of the Supreme Lord. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura, in his 8 stanzas of prayer to the spiritual master, has sung Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasadam. By pleasing the spiritual master, who is a pure Vaishnava, one pleases the personality of Godhead. But if one displeases the spiritual master, one does not know where he is going. Hare Krishna.
Now the Supreme Lord describes what will happen in near future. So the Lord says, you will go home. Eventually your father will take Vanaprasthashram and you will become king. What about Uttama and Suruchi? Uttama, sometime in the future, your brother Uttama will go for hunting, and while absorbed in hunting, he will be killed. Suruchi, maddened upon the death of her son, will run to the forest to search for the son, and she will be devoured by Davagni, that is, the forest fire. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains, Dhruva Mahārāja came to forest for revenge against mother, right? Initially, he had no desire of a great kingdom, this, that, but her mother, stepmother, Suruchi, insulted Dhruva so badly that he had that very intense feelings of revenge. And now, because of this offense at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava, she is going to suffer, and not only she is going to suffer, even her son is also going to suffer the same reactions, right? So Vaishnava Aparadh is not just the person who offends, suffers. One who offends, along with his family, near dear one, everybody suffers because of that Vaishnava Aparadha. And same is the true with Vaishnava Seva as well. Not only the person who is serving the Vaishnava will be benefited, all those connected to Vaishnava, that devotee, will also be benefited. And therefore, Prabhupada says, an offense at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava is the greatest offense in this world. There are different types of offense. There is a Hari Aparadh, there is Nam Aparadh, there is Dham Aparadh, there is Seva Aparadh, but the worst is Vaishnava Aparadh. Right? So Prabhupada says here, the greatest offense is the Vaishnava Aparadh. Because having insulted Dhruva Mahārāja, Suruchi became mad. So this is the reason for, this is the effect of Vaishnava Aparadh. What is the effect of Vaishnava Aparadh? One becomes mad with one of the, the lust, anger, greed, envy, illusion, pride. One of the things, one will become maddened, right? And mad upon the death of her son, and she would enter the forest fire. So this all narration is being foretold by the Supreme Lord to Dhruva. So Dhruva is not feeling acha sabak sikhaya. No, Dhruva always took care that. But what happens is, when that particular thing has to happen, it is called as, my parent always used to say, my father always says this, buddhi karmanusarini. That, aisa hi buddhi hota hai. I mean, off the record, there is one very amazing instance that, not to be stretched this beyond limits. But once our Vivek Bindra Prabhu, who is a very wonderful devotee, is an initiated devotee, and he himself narrated this, and this is available on YouTube. This Vivek Bindra Prabhu, he went to meet Baba Bageshwar Dham. Okay, now again, we are not recommending people meeting Baba Bageshwar Dham or anything, because Baba Bageshwar Dham, wonderful personality, he always seeks blessings from ISKCON sannyasis. There is a video of Baba Bageshwar Dham, the massaging lotus feet of Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, and Maharaj is telling him, he's saying that, beta, ये जादू बिदू क्यों दिखाते हो, द चिट निकालते हो, ये करते हो, जरा लोगों को भक्ति में लगाओ, डू समथिंग सब्सटेंशियल. So that is their interaction. So in this point, we are discussing the point how buddhi karmanusarini. That is the point we are discussing. Okay. So not to recommend we going anywhere else apart from ISKCON or doing any other method is required. I'm just referring to, because he's a celebrity, Vivek Bindra. And he was meeting another celebrity, and he wanted to meet Maharaj Ji, Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. So that's how they met. And because anyway, I'm just like, somebody is a Jyotish. Everybody wants to know, okay, mera bhi haath dekho, mera bhi kundli dekho. Like that, he also said, Vivek Bindra said that, see, please see what's there in my future. And then he, whatever siddhi he has, he picked up a chit and he said that, what is that? Who is that? Maheshwari? Very famous fellow on the YouTube. One Maheshwari is there.
Sandeep
Maheshwari.
Sandeep Maheshwari. So this Baba Bageshwar, he just picked out the chit and he said that, please be careful. Don't pick up enmity with Sandeep. Sandeep will tarnish your image and your tough time is going to come in next 6 months. Okay. And this, the Vivek Bindra, he writes there, he said that we just searchified everything. We searched all our clients. First, we searched all our, the staff. Koi Sandeep hai kya? Koi Sandeep nahi. Vendors we searched. No Sandeep is vendor. Searched in friend circle. No Sandeep, no Sandeep, no Sandeep. Nothing. And later, somewhere in the month of December, somewhere 3-4 months down the line, this Sandeep Maheshwari created one post saying that, these days people are selling anything, whatever they want at any price. And, and crooks are taking advantage. And it was not pointed to somebody, but this Vivek Bindra Prabhu, he thought that it is directed to him and he felt very offended. He, in a way, unnecessarily, because I was following that Vad very carefully, very closely that time, he just jumped inside. And that son, he said that, who he considers as a Vaisa, and then, the kind of the childish fight on the internet. And then it created such a big controversy on the internet. Some of you may remember this, right?
Yeah.
That Vivek Bindra against Sandeep Maheshwari. And that went on for, this and that. His party is trolling him, his people are trolling him. And suddenly, few things within Vivek Bindra's personal life also became very public. His dealings. And, so just see, he's narrating that 6 months earlier only I was knowing somebody named Sandeep is going to be cause of my some problem, bigger problem. And but still it happened. So what it means is that buddhi karmanusarini, therefore one has to be, one thing is one should not be very excited to know future. Even after knowing future, one may not be able to change it in a way that we want. But we can completely change the future if we are engaged in devotional service. That is the point. Right? If we can be completely engaged in devotional service, karmani nirdahati kintu cha bhakti bhajam. Right? So this is that instance gave me, such an amazing insight that don't be just mad after running after this astrologer, that astrologer, that astrologer. Whenever I meet astrologer, my, the one golden rule is take this just as a passing opinion. Not that, you take it as if some supreme, of course, I have no offense to any astrologer. Some of my very close friends are very wonderful astrologers. All glories to them, all glories to their amazing work that they are doing. But we should not be avritam. We should not be covered over by any of these things, right? We should not be covered over by Ayurveda. We should not be covered over by yoga, astro, music, vastu. So they have their own utility, correct? So one should be, although the Supreme Lord is saying this, but if, of course, Suruchi will not do that. But if Suruchi would have begged forgiveness at the lotus feet of Dhruva, served Dhruva very incessantly, that future would have been very nicely changed. And Lord would have been happy to let go his, the prediction about Suruchi and Uttama. But that did not happen. Suruchi also maintained distance. She did not. So Prabhupada writes here, this is the, so this is the effect of Vaishnava aparad. And therefore, general, what to speak of Vaishnava? Now, when Dhruva was offended, he was, he is a celebrated personality, but Suruchi was not knowing that he is such a great devotee. And if we see, ultimately, every living entity is a pure devotee. Barabar hai na? Ultimately, every living entity is a pure soul. It is going to be a pure personality in the due course of time. Knowing this, a devotee will never offend anybody. Prabhupada writes in another purport, even an ant on the street. Trinadapi sunichena taroriva sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. So, what is important for a devotee is, by his behavior, people should not be put in distress. Yasminno udvijate loko, lokonno udvijate chayah. Harsham harshabhayodvegair mukto yah sachame priyah. This is very important for a devotee. That how it, of course, that doesn't mean that he is not a strict father or a strict mother, that they have to do their role. But at the same time, they have to do their role in a very, very gracious way. Another important thing is, one should never try to search internet, because these days internet is filled with so much of blasphemy against this is ISKCON guru, that is ISKCON guru. There are so many people with vested interest who are floating so much of misinformation. And of course, not that everything is misinformation. ISKCON did have problems. ISKCON learned from their own problems. ISKCON is a worldwide organization. We have no control over who comes for which motive inside ISKCON, because ISKCON is welcoming everyone. So it is not that ISKCON is flawless or without any problem. ISKCON is also part of material world. So ISKCON also will have some problems. But there is deliberate disinformation on the internet, and therefore it is safer never to search about ISKCON on the internet, because one will come across this controversy, that controversy. One's mind will be unnecessarily polluted, and without knowing the context, without knowing the history of a person, of a place, of a situation, will simply form certain opinions. And therefore, one has to stay away from Vaishnava search on internet. This is very important. Further, Srila Prabhupada explains, Vaishnava is especially favored by the Supreme Lord, and any offense to the Vaishnava is personally treated. Later we'll see, when we come across the story of Ambarish Maharaj, how the Supreme Lord taught a lesson to Durvas Muni. Dauda ke taught a lesson. He's running from pillar to post, running from one loka to another, and across the universe, even beyond universe. But he has no solace apart from taking shelter of that very Vaishnava whom he had offended. And therefore, the best course of action is never offend the Vaishnava. And how it is very simple, simply by following Vaishnava etiquettes. Right? That simply by following Vaishnava etiquettes, one will. So it is not that we don't want to offend the Vaishnava. That is not the point. We want to please the Vaishnavas, and especially the senior devotees, pure devotees. Right? And Srila Prabhupada quotes here Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado, yasya aprasadat nagati kutopi. So this is that by pleasing the pure devotee, one pleases the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But one displeases the spiritual master, one does not know where he is going. That means, just like the Suruchi, she was not knowing where she is going. Actually, she is going for destruction, maddened by the distress that she suffered when Uttama died untimely. So we will conclude here and continue tomorrow. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.